Mishnah and Daf Chav Ches in Sukkah, which goes through the very basic halachas of Sukkot, some of the basic halachas. So it discusses raining on Sukkot. So we all heard at some point growing up that rain is not a good omen. And as Chazal point out, it's a siman klal. It's not a good thing when it rains on Sukkot. It's a question on when on Sukkot and where. But in general, Chazal tell us that it's not a good omen when it rains on Sukkot. At the end of the Mishnah, they give a mashal. The mashal is like this. Lama dover doma. What could it be compared to when it rains on Sukkot? What case could it be compared to? Le'eved sheba limzo kos l'rabo. It can be compared to a servant coming to bring a cup of wine to his master, and he wants to limzo. Limzo means to dilute it. In those days, the wine was very bitter, very strong. So the only way you were able to drink wine in those days is if you diluted it. So what did he do? He brought a jug of water to dilute the wine. What did the king do? V'shofach lo kiton al panav. He took the water and knocked it back in his face. So that's the mashal. So the Gemara asks a very simple question. You know, it seems like the Tanoim got, a little out of hand with the mashal here. All it would have taken is to say that it could be compared to a servant bringing a master a cup of wine, and the master knocking the wine out of his hands. He's bringing him a cup of wine to dilute, and then he was bringing the water, and then the master knocked the water out of his hands. Like, why is the Mishnah getting so fancy with the mashal? All it took was that he brought him wine, he knocked the wine out of his hands. He doesn't want the wine. So the Gemara points out something beautiful. He says that we are coming from the Yom Norah. So the Yom Norah are days of awe, days of tshuva miyira, right? We're doing repenting out of fear. We're afraid for our lives, whether it be olam hazeh, olam haba. We're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu to forgive us. It's very awkward between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu because we've done so many wrong things over the course of the year. What's Sukkot? Sukkot is the time where we're able to not only we got mechila from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's time for us to sweeten that relationship once again. So that's the symbolism. That the reason why we're bringing the water is because, HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave us, but that wine's still bitter. That relationship is still not the same. I was thinking of something I could easily compare it to. So my older son tends to beat up my younger son a lot. And when he beats him up, or pushes him for no reason, so me or my wife stare at him, maybe yell at him, or as I like to call it, talk sternly to him. So I tell him sternly, I give him some muster, I tell him sternly, don't do that, don't hit. So he's at the age where he knows I'm sorry is the magic word. So he says back awkwardly, I'm sorry. And he's not smiling, and he's very serious. He sees that I'm serious. So even though he apologized, and I say back, that's okay, it's okay, he walks away in like that awkward fashion that he knows that our relationship is not the same. Then, that 2 minutes later, after he says I'm sorry, and he's being nice to his brother, I come over and give him a hug, and that's when he smiles. So that's Sukkot. And that's why the Gemara points out the mashal, the Baalei Mishnah got very fancy over here. Because we're bringing that cup of wine, but we don't only want to bring that cup of wine, it's bitter. We want to bring the water to sweeten our relationship. And unfortunately, if it were to rain on Sukkot, we wouldn't be able to do that mitzvah. What's HaKadosh Baruch Hu doing? He's knocking the cup out of our hands. Saying, that's it, don't come any closer. You said I'm sorry, I forgave you. I don't want you right now. That's why it's a siman klal, says the Gemara, and that's why the Mishnah uses this mashal. So We should all remember this over the holiday of Sukkot, after we spend so much time in shul saying, I'm sorry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and davening to Him, that now it's time to sweeten that relationship with the beautiful mitzvahs that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us to do over the course of this holiday. I wish everybody a Chag Kosher V'Sameach and a happy and healthy, enjoyable Yom Kippur.